The worst kind of deception is self-deception, and yet that seems to be the kind that black folks seem to like the most. All these dumb Negroes running around bragging that they've been working for 15 and 20 years for the Democratic Party and now they're seeing the fruits of their labors. For example, you have some black folk in Georgia who are proud of the fact that they worked for 15 and 20 years to turn Georgia blue. Other Negroes proud that they worked for a generation to turn their city blue. You've been wasting your time. All that was for absolutely nothing. You're an idiot to work for nearly a generation to empower a political party of white oligarchs who haven't promised you a thing in return. You're not supposed to be doing this as some sort of freaking vanity project, at least not if you're intelligent. And family, another reason the New York Times ran this story is because this woman and a number of others like her, they're trying to appropriate our language. There's a whole lot of groups out there trying to pawn themselves off as being counterfeit black empowerment. They're trying to use our verbiage, use our language. I'm unapologetically black. Let me tell you something. Voting for a lifelong white supremacist, not demanding tangibles, there ain't a damn thing unapologetically black about that. You're just an unapologetic fool. But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to rebrand it. They're going to get a bunch of idiots out here who are going to try to talk like us, and a lot of the weak-willed and weak-minded will fall for it. And they should. But at the end of the day, this is not going to be enough to be able to fool a critical mass of black folks, not the ones who are going to get anything done. Sure, you'll have the baby boomer dead-enders, and you'll also have some dusty dudes and hood rats and such, but these Negroes ain't going to bust a grape. They're not the ones who are going to get things done. You need the kind of smart black folks who are gravitating toward the new voices of black media. And they know better than to follow a few bootlicks out in Macon, Georgia. See, we're establishing, or rather re-establishing, the standard for black people. It ain't enough for you merely to copy our words. You have to also copy our actions, but of course you can't do that. Because our actions are so dangerous, so detrimental to white supremacy, you can't afford to copy any of them. So you try to find a way, can we try to copy their words and mislead people astray? You're going to have to come a lot harder than this. Some pretend counterfeit trying to talk like you're black first, that ain't going to fool anybody. Or rather, the kind of black people who are gullible enough and simple-minded enough to fall for this, those are the Negroes who ain't going to do anything anyway, so you're welcome to have them. The white political operatives who you see for the Democrats or Republicans, they only work for their respective parties because they've been promised something tangible. And if the party fails to deliver, then these white political operatives, they got enough sense to switch parties or just stop it with all of the politicking altogether. If there ain't something in it for them, they don't do it. And they got to know what it is before they even go out there. See, they understand what politics is about. They're about empowering themselves, not some white or Asian career politician and the white corporate interest back of them. You look at stories like this. Georgia was a big win for Democrats. Black women did the groundwork. This is just more white media psychological masturbation. And it's totally worthless. Yeah, you got those Senate elections coming up, so you got to go ahead and prime the pump. Go ahead and psychologically stroke black women's egos because everyone knows that black voters, right or wrong, and we know which it was, black voters put Biden's wrinkled racist behind in the White House. Though the white media and the Democrats are already beginning to pivot away from that point, they're already starting the process of crediting everyone except for black people. The only relevant conversation about black voters now is what tangibles are Biden and Harris and the Democratic Party going to give to the black voters who put them back in the White House? That is the only conversation that's relevant. Anything else is a waste of time. Instead, the white media, they're stroking black women's egos, and sadly, a lot of black women think that this is a win for them. A win for what? I told you about how white supremacy believes in giving multiple forms of rewards for its adherents. That there are tangible rewards, but there's also intangible rewards that white supremacy believes in giving, like psychological benefits. You know, if you tell a white person that they're better than black people because, Or if you tell black women that you're the backbone of the Democratic Party, oh, you're so important, oh, you're so special, we ain't going to give you a damn thing, but we're going to go ahead and pat you on the head. Those are psychic benefits. You get to stick out your chest and go, ain't I as important? Meanwhile, the cops are gunning you down in the streets or just killing you outright, and you being kicked out of your homes, and your good white Democratic friends who you were so proud of helping out, who told you how important you are, they don't lift a finger to help you. What part of the game is that, huh? See, the white media is not about to begin any sort of pressure campaign on the Democrats or to put a sword over the heads of the Democratic Party. Nobody's talking about what needs to be done to ensure that black people are rewarded for having put the Democrats back in the White House, putting an end to the so catastrophic reign of the Orange Man. Nobody's about to let them know that the same black people who inadvisedly put Biden in the White House can just as easily stay home for the upcoming Georgia Senate race. See, nobody's talking about that. Oh, they're talking about, how important black voters are, especially black women. But nobody's saying, hey, now that Biden's won the election, black folks are letting him know the only way we're going to give you the Senate too is ... You got to come through with A, B, C, and D. That's not what the conversation is. The white media's job is to divert it and steer it away from that. Oh, there should be absolutely nothing contingent for the black vote. The black vote doesn't depend on anything. There are absolutely no prerequisites for getting the black vote. It's just black folks supposed to turn out because black folks are so important. Yeah, you're important for empowering someone else. Even now, these phony so-called activists, who we all know are nothing more than a bunch of front Negroes being bankrolled by rich white influence peddlers behind the scenes, right now these so-called activists, who only the white media considers activists, they're not demanding that the Democrats pledge tangibles to us if they want our support. Remember that mushmouth inbred who was on MSNBC a few weeks back whining about Ice Cube? And he was saying that black people have to wait until after the election before they can ban anything. Why? You got to wait till Biden gets elected. You can't expect him to do nothing if he don't get elected. Okay, he's elected, and he still ain't doing nothing. Remember Cedric Richmond, who told Ice Cube the same thing? You got to hold off till after you can't be making no demands before the election. You got to hold off. Okay, election's over. And what are they saying? Can't be making no demands. We got to think about the Senate race. Just like we told you, back on the political treadmill, it's always going to be something else that needs to be done before black people can get anything. Oh, we got to get in the White House. Oh, we got to get the Senate back. Oh, we need a larger share of the House of Representatives. Oh, we need the Supreme Court. Oh, we need this. Oh, we need that. Always something else. It reminds me of the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. Remember at the beginning of the movie, Leonardo DiCaprio is a young Wall Street trader who's come in, and he's being apprenticed and mentored by Matthew McConaughey. And one of the things Matthew McConaughey points out to him is this business is not about enriching the client. It's about taking the money out of their pocket and putting it in yours. That's it. And he said, well, you can't have a mutually beneficial arrangement because then the client, that would make the dream real. Remember that part of the movie where he said the client, as soon as the stock goes up, the client wants to cash in, take their money and run. And he says, you don't let him do that because that would make it real. Instead, what you do is you come up with another brilliant idea, another proposition, something else that they can invest in. And of course, they'll do it because they're addicted. And in the meanwhile, while they're busy getting rich on paper, you're taking home cold, hard cash. You see, that's the game that's being run on black people. As soon as black people say, well, now it's time for y'all to do something for us. Well, there's something else we need first. Yeah, we got another election we got to win. Oh, we don't have enough seats in the Senate. Always something else. Seems there's never a point at which these black bootlicks who cheerlead for the Democrats ever think that black people should make demands before we vote. We never ever seem to get to that point. It's always vote first, then they turn their backs on us, and well, these good white folks had good reason to. You had Naker Jim Clyburn, who was whining about, there ain't enough you ain't got no black people in cabinet positions. You ain't appointing no black folks. No, but Joe Biden is considering putting Rahm Emmanuel in his cabinet, or at least as U.S. trade representative. You see, he's not thinking about putting black people in cabinet positions, but he is thinking about putting a corrupt anti-black racist as part of his cabinet. Oh, there's a lot of people who are upset about the idea of putting Rahm Emmanuel in the administration. But black people in particular are failing to understand that this was inevitable. Of course, Joe Biden's going to try to do this if he can, because this is who Joe Biden wants. He don't give a damn about black people, never did. He's running game. What, you think he's 70 plus years old because he said, black folks, I got your back? This bastard who said that, he then shows support for a mayor who covered up the murder of a black man shot in the back. Whether or not Joe Biden can successfully get Rahm Emmanuel into the White House, or rather back into the White House, that's immaterial. The fact that Biden is even trying to get Rahm Emmanuel in there, that tells you everything you need to know about this administration and what they're about. They're not hiding their complete and thorough contempt for black people. Rahm Emmanuel, one of the chief architects of the cover-up of the LaQuan McDonald murder, and Joe Biden is only too jolly in the behind to offer him a White House cabinet position. Rahm Emmanuel said to never let a good crisis go to waste, but where the hell was old Rambo at during the anti-police demonstrations this year? He's had no problem telling Democrats they need to start trying to appeal to casual racists, I mean white moderates. Emmanuel was the one who saw what became of Chicago after his regime, and rather than admit to his wrongdoing and try to address the damage he did, instead he's shown that what he did to black people was not at all a mistake. It was the entire plan all along. And Joe Biden showing, yep, Rahm Emmanuel, this is we're going to send a message putting you in the White House. That's going to send a message that all these black folks, well, you just better understand it's going to be us against you. You better stay in your place, because now that we're in here, we can go ahead and slap black folks in the face. All of those dumb black people who thought that voting for Joe Biden was a smart idea, you now have Joe Biden stacking the White House with every anti-black racist he can find. Oh, sure, Biden's catching a lot of criticism for this decision. You got a lot of leftists who are against neoliberalism, and they plaster Rahm Emmanuel with that one. But Biden is hoping that all this will go away and die down, because after all, with every incoming administration, there's always a few cabinet positions that the incoming president selects. There's always a few appointees who ruffle some feathers. That's part of the process. There's always a few folk who the president appoints to a certain contingent of the electorate or the pundit class look and go, oh no, certainly not them. This happens every 4 years. But remember, the Democrats told black people that things were going to be different this time. Right? Wrong. The Democrats did not tell you that anything would change. The Democrats did not promise you anything different. You were demanding something different, but the Democrats blew you off, remember? They told you they weren't going to do anything that black people told them to do. You think I'm going to do something that only benefits black people? No. They told you that they would ignore you. And a lot of you voted for these clowns anyway. A lot of you are letting the white media get, and not to mention some black bootlicks who themselves are trying to represent their sorority or what have you. You're letting these boule links, so-called black insider, Greek frat pieces of garbage tell you that this is a win for black people somehow. Please tell me, what's the difference between Rahm Emmanuel and Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III? Please tell me, what's the difference between Rahm Emmanuel and Stephen Miller? What's the difference between Rahm Emmanuel and Jared Kushner? Now, Jared Kushner and Stephen Miller are on the allegedly opposite side of the political spectrum from Rahm Emmanuel, allegedly. And what you find is they got a lot more in common than merely their religion. All three of these men, they claim to be on opposite sides of the political spectrum, but when it comes to black people, they have the exact same contempt. I showed y'all earlier my little video essay a while back regarding Rahm Emmanuel's brother, Ari Emanuel, who happened to be one of the founders, one of the big talent agencies out in Hollywood, William Morris Endeavor. And Rahm Emmanuel's brother, he was only too glad to be shaking hands and palling around with Donald Trump. Oh, there's plenty of pictures like this. Ari Emanuel with Trump. Ari Emanuel with Trump and Pence. Oh, yeah, bosom buddies. And this is the brother of Barack Obama's chief of staff. The brother of the mayor of Chicago. Wait a minute. Where was Rahm Emmanuel at when Donald Trump was busy talking about Chicago's a hellhole and shootings on the South Side and bringing in federal troops and all of that? It's just a matter of where the hell's Ari Emanuel at? Where's Rahm Emmanuel at? Was he saying anything about it? Do you have any objections to it? No, I don't recall any either. You see, somebody seems to know something about the so-called white Democrats and white Republicans that black folks refuse to admit to. Somebody seems to understand that maybe they're running game. Come on, all of you Biden supporters out there who are now looking and going, oh my God, he's actually thinking about putting Rahm Emmanuel into a White House cabinet position? He ain't just thinking about it, he's trying to do it. That's what Biden's working on right now. The same Rahm Emmanuel whose brother was palling around with Donald Trump and Mike Pence. And look at how Ari Emanuel's cheesing. This is Rahm Emanuel's brother here. With the alleged arch nemesis of the Democratic Party. Oh, he ain't bothered at all what Barack Obama might think of black folks at all. Look at him just cheesing like they're best buds. You know, black folks have all heard about how Dave Chappelle decided to take Viacom out to the woodshed, but a lot of black folks weren't listening. He was giving his childhood story about how he had tried to make some money off of some guys who were doing one of those 3-card Monte games, or they were doing the old shell game. And what did Dave Chappelle say? Some of the people who were standing around watching this guy getting over with people with this little card hustle of his, they were his friends. They were in on it. Never occurred to him that the people who were standing around were not merely spectators, that it was all of them against whoever showed up. Yeah, that perfectly encapsulates the Democrats and Republicans. Here black people are walking in, thinking that their Democrat pal saying, pick a card, any card. You find the red card, $50 is yours. And you got these other people standing around going, oh, this guy, oh, he's just too good. Go ahead, kid. You can get him, kid. Go ahead. Yeah, you think that these are your friends, and it turns out they're not. They're all working a hustle. They're all on the same team against you. You know, poker players have a saying. If you can't spot the sucker in your first 5 minutes sitting at the table, that's because you're the sucker. Works the same way in politics, too. Politics are about who gets what. It's like a game of musical chairs, but for the highest stakes. And there's always going to be a couple of people left without a chair when the music stops. That's not by accident. That's how this game is designed. It's built into the system. Everybody out there allegedly trying to get something, and yet it's built into the system that there's going to be entire groups of people who are cheerleading and beating the band and, oh, we got to turn out to vote. And it's baked into the cake that there's going to be a number of these constituencies left out. And the ones who get left out are the ones who decide that they're going to cheerlead for this or that candidate without ever having gotten any serious pledges for their tangibles. There's always a couple of groups playing that game of, oh, this is just a mutual admiration society. And if you look around at the separate constituencies voting for this or that candidate and you can't spot the ones who are voting without a solid pledge, well, that's probably because you're the one who's voting without a pledge. Maybe you're the one who hasn't gotten any promises before you show up to vote. I'm sorry, you were telling me how things were going to be different? How Biden was not the same as Trump? Some of you Biden bots and Kamala clones out there, please tell me, what is the difference between these men? What is the difference between Rahm Emmanuel and Donald Trump? Because I can't find a difference. All you shea butter bootlicks, this is the change you voted for. This is what you voted for. Since you didn't make any demands, you gave carte blanche to Joe Biden to do whatever the hell he wanted. And this is what he wants. Oh, well, he gonna be different than Trump. He gonna respect black folks. Yeah, he's trying to give a cabinet level position to a man who presided over the wholesale killing of black folks in Chicago. And by the way, you ain't had a damn word said about John Burge, the not the most crooked cop that Chicago's ever had. The bastard was running freaking torture rooms all over the city. And Rahm Emmanuel, he ain't said a damn word about that. So there you go. You traded an honest racist for one who lies and claims he's not racist. And the reason that you did it was because you thought you could get a pat on the back from some white folks. See, this is black folks being simple-minded, and you cannot be simple-minded without being suicidal. The two go hand in hand. Black folks who were voting for Biden, it was precisely because of the fact that they didn't want to have to face up to the reality of what America is. They want to hit the snooze button. So they want to pretend as if, oh, don't worry, there's some good white supremacists out there. Why, I'm going to vote for one now. And that's what it was really about. It was about black folks who wanted to convince themselves that the world was still flat. They could not face up to the reality of what America is because Donald Trump, you couldn't deny what it was. It is what it is. It's a matter of no, because then I have to get off my butt and do something, and then I can't be chasing interracial sex, and then I have to do something other than play Xbox all day, and I'm not going to do that. And Joe Biden, yeah, that's the ticket. I'll vote for Joe Biden, and he, at the very least, there won't be pressure on me because Donald Trump's bringing that pressure. I can't deny the racism. These black empowerment types, they're throwing it in my face, and I need to get the pressure off of me, and I know what I'll do. That's what black folks want. Black people are so steeped and entrenched in denial, they'll cut their own throats just to have to avoid doing something about white supremacy. Because that's the problem that black folks had with Donald Trump. Now that you see the ugly reality, now you got to do something about it. But the good news is you went straight from the frying pan and onto the floor. Forget about out of the frying pan and into the fire. This is out of the frying pan and onto the floor. Oh yeah, you thought that you were going to escape the white supremacists by putting Joe Biden in there. What you're finding is, nope, second verse, same as the first. Meet the new boss, same as the old one. See, both political parties, they think of anti-black racism as a resume enhancer. By the way, anyone asked Tamika Mallory what she thinks about Joe Biden's latest prospect for his cabinet? I wonder if she's having buyer's remorse yet. She's not putting her faith in any old white men, and yet Joe Biden is staffing his White House with nothing but a bunch of racist old white men. All you dumb Negroes out there telling us that Biden gave a damn about anti-black police violence, well, your boy is now considering putting one of the main defenders of police violence in his administration. Now we know why Rahm was so eager to see Biden win the election because, unlike Jim Clyburn, he knew that there would be a job for himself personally in all this. This is part of the political realignment of the Democratic Party. Because they see the grassroots are waking black folks up and making it where there's a critical mass of black people gravitating away from the political con game. And Rahm Emmanuel is leading the charge to try to shore up the Democratic Party with an infusion of reliable white supremacists who will go along with the get-along before black people can leave in a large enough number to destabilize things. Because what's been happening is black people have been deserting the Democratic Party faster than Rahm Emmanuel and Joe Biden and the rest of the DNC flunkies can find casual racists, read white moderates, to replace us. That's what's been happening. Black people have been the ship is filling up with water faster than they can bail it out. Are they attracting white moderates? Not fast enough. And that's the problem. They need to buy themselves some time. And tragically, you had some dumb Negroes who decided to throw these bastards a lifeline. White supremacy has to be allowed to collapse. Black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. The damn thing needs to collapse. White supremacy cannot be redeemed or reformed. It can only be defeated and destroyed. And yet you got black people who keep giving it a new lease on life, keep throwing it a lifeline. We're going to prop it up. That's what a backbone does. A backbone props something up, where you're propping up your own freaking oppression. Well done. See, this is what being politically stupid does to you. This is what it's not a victimless crime to be dumb. Especially now you got people in large numbers who are part of an oppressed group. You cannot think that you're going to be willfully ignorant, deliberately naive, using asinine talking points to try to wallpaper over your own lack of information and your own unwillingness to think. You can't keep doing that and think that you're going to survive. Sooner or later, your time runs out. You can only keep inflicting these self-inflicted wounds on yourself so many times before you keel over. And yeah, Rahm Emmanuel's catching plenty of heat, at least on paper. Chicago's own Tribune ran an editorial today blasting the idea of putting Rahm Emmanuel in the administration. But the woman who wrote it, she's from Georgia. So of course she talks like she doesn't really know what she's dealing with. Her very first sentence of her editorial, Joe Biden wouldn't be president-elect if not for African Americans. Now African Americans are waiting to see whether he will betray us. Mrs. Glanton, is it? First of all, black voters didn't make any demands of Joe Biden, hence he made no promises to us. So, thanks to the kind of blind, asinine support for Biden that people like you were cheerleading for, Ms. Glanton, Biden cannot betray black voters because we never forced him to make any promises to us. You can't betray someone unless you promise them something, unless you made a pledge to them. In fact, Biden and Kamala told us that they weren't going to do anything for us. No, this was not a matter of Biden betraying anyone. This is a matter of black people engaging in the same old self-betrayal. You sound like a fool, Miss Glanton, when you try to ask, as if you don't already know, why would Biden want a man who tried to cover up the murder of a black youngster in his administration? Yeah, if you didn't know better, you would swear that when Joe Biden was fighting against busing, when he was co-sponsoring every bit of anti-black legislation under the guise of anti-crime bills, when he wrote the most punitive law in U.S. history, the 94 crime bill, he wrote the damn thing, you would think, if you didn't know better, that Joe Biden was an unrepentant, recalcitrant, unchangeable, irredeemable racist. If you didn't know better, that's what you would think. Well, if you had a brain, if you had the ability to think, that's what you would have come up with. That's the conclusion you would have drawn. Yeah, but Miss Glanton apparently didn't. See, that's the problem with black people, especially the pundit class, these would-be boule folks. Whenever they realize, wait a minute, I think I just conned myself, didn't I? Then they try to take up this begging posture, like they think that they're going to shame these savage white supremacists into civilized behavior. Biden has said for months now that he is opposed to defunding the police. He instead said that he wants to give the thugs in blue $300 million. Gee, the same way he gave $13 billion to the states to pay them to mass incarcerate black people. Biden chose as his vice president a career prosecutor who has one of the most reprehensible records of anti-black persecution in America. Kamala Harris never saw the shooting of a black person by the police that she didn't approve of or couldn't find an excuse not to do anything about. There was never any action by the police against black people that Kamala Harris looked at and said, wait a minute, now you're going too far. Now I got to step in. Instead, as well, these are all local issues. That's what she said. Every time black people said, hey, what about this or that murder? Well, local prosecutors, local, yeah, that rings the bell of states' rights. Yeah, any person who believes, well, we can't do anything about the counties, that's also somebody who will extrapolate that into, well, we can't do anything about the states. Yeah, Biden, the little Yankee Confederate that he is, he understood exactly what he was getting with Kamala Harris. What a shame that black people refused to accept that. We knew it, we just didn't want to hear it. So please, miss me with this betray crap, Miss Glanton. This is just more of black people being played for fools. Like any good con, you let the mark con herself. You don't promise the mark anything. Instead, you just give them a whole bunch of empty, flowery words, phony sympathetic gestures. And you let their imaginations do the rest. And before you know it, the mark will be telling themselves all kinds of fairy tales, like Biden wants to defund the police. He's in favor of reparations. He's going to punish violence against black people. What Joe Biden is doing here is not merely about his administration. The Democrats are playing the long game. And part of the long game is They need a 100% solution to this growing groundswell of black people who are acting in their own interest. They need something fast. Because what we're doing at the grassroots, this represents the single greatest threat to white supremacy in 500 years. Because it's young people doing this, and they're striking at the one thing that white supremacy has been telling black folks to give up on for the longest time, and that is getting our share of the nation that we built. Because they understand this happens to be one of those pivotal moments. We stand at a crossroads. Either we're going to get back on the treadmill or we're breaking with the past. And there's a lot of Negroes who want to get on the treadmill, and we will let them. But there's also a lot of black folks who understand exactly where it's at and what it's got to be. All the black folks who were making excuses for voting for Biden and Harris, they're getting more and more scarce every day. As we begin to show, damn, it hasn't even been a month since he was elected or selected for the presidency. This bastard hasn't even been sworn in yet. It's still another almost 2 months, a month and a half before this guy gets sworn in. And he's already making it clear. He's trying to make sure that the White House cabinet positions are a Negro-free zone. He wants to make sure any black folks are there going to be doing nothing more than carrying messages. You're going to be errand boys, or rather errand girls, because other than Cedric Richmond, who I don't consider to be a man at all. Oh, yeah, the only thing black folks can do is carry messages for their white benefactors. See, Biden's trying to figure out, how do I find a way to sneak Rahm Emmanuel in as transportation secretary? Yeah, make sure that he has a proper cabinet position, which means he's going to have a budget. That means he's going to be able to control federal dollars and where they go. Yeah, the kind of thing that Jim Clyburn wasted his time delivering entire states for Joe Biden, and he ain't got nothing to show for it except for a job for his little girl. Great. He sits here and delivers Joe Biden the White House, and his daughter is gainfully employed. Meanwhile, Rahm Emmanuel, he's sitting here going, I'm going to have hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars at my disposal. I'll be able to float it to Elon Musk. You know those two are friends, right? He'll be able to float money to all of his little pals, because he's going to have so much of it. Ain't going to be no damn oversight. Not for the white people anyway. The white administration officials, no oversight. But before it's all over, the black ones, you can bet a few of them will be sent out of the White House in disgrace. It's amazing how many black people are so gullible. White media puts up stupid little puff pieces claiming that, oh, here are some black people who are powerful in Washington, and all of them, all they do, they're just political operatives. These people have no power at all. The only thing that they do is they carry the bags of Nancy Pelosi, like that Ashley Etienne woman, or they're individuals who basically are cheerleaders for the DNC, like Valerie Jarrett and Susan Rice. Power means that you can tell a Rahm Emmanuel to kick rocks. Power means you can punish Joe Biden for something like this. These guys ain't got no power. They don't have any power. You've got the power to cheerlead for the Democrats. It reminds me of what Dr. Claude Anderson said. When you don't own any businesses and you claim you got green power, that's like a crackhead saying, I got crack power. Only thing you got is the power to make somebody else rich. The only power that these black bootlegs have is the ability to make these white racist Democrats powerful and rich. That's the only power you got. But for a lot of them, that's the only power that they want. Oh, the self-hate is real. It is so real. So we got these Senate runoff elections coming up. And it doesn't matter how they go. If the Democrats find a way to win both of them, probably they won't. But if they do, doesn't matter. Black people are not going to get anything. All you're going to get is, hey, we got this Warnock guy, where the hell that his name is, in Georgia. Well, maybe he's going to be a senator now. Yeah, and he'll give you the exact same excuses that Kamala Harris did when she was in the Senate and Barack Obama when he was there. He won't even be a mouthpiece. Not even token resistance. Nothing. And if they lose, well, the Democrats will do what they always do. They'll blame black people for that because apparently they're casual racist, read white moderates. All those Biden Republicans still haven't materialized yet. So that's what'll happen. They'll blame black people and say, well, you know, we were going to do something for you niggers, but because you didn't show up and give us the Senate, well, now we can't do anything for you. Meanwhile, they'll be wheeling and dealing with the Republicans to make sure that the immigrants and the LGBTs and everything else, to make sure that everybody else gets something except for us. They'll be able to wheel and deal and negotiate for everyone else. They're going to be making deals on DACA, making deals to legalize illegal aliens so that black people are drowned out by a bunch of people from hostile cultures. But what they won't be doing is wheeling and dealing for black folks. They'll be telling everybody else, you can get it, but black folks, nothing we could do for you. It's the election, you see, the election. Maybe in 2022. Or maybe not.